There's a Nelly cat. Okay, we can start the video now. On April 10th, 1912, Titanic left Southampton for its maiden voyage. After striking an iceberg at 11:40 on April 14th, Titanic sank to the bottom of the Atlantic on April 15th at 2:20 a.m. On April 15th of 2022, I went to the Titanic Museum in Branson, Missouri. And we're going to talk about that trip today. So, I have had an obsession with Titanic for, I want to say since I was in like second grade. I've just always found it super fascinating, and I think that's anybody. I don't know if it's like, oh, this is a really big tragedy, but it's, even to this day, it's so fascinating to so many people. Obviously, I mean, there was the people last year that tried to go down to it and in their tin can just, or whatever. So it's an interesting topic. So I just wanted to share about my trip, just for something interesting. And I mean, it's the anniversary. So, well, the anniversary is coming up. Today is not the anniversary. And it will be, 112 years? So I went on the 110th anniversary. And yes, I'm a nerd. I did plan it that way. So, my mom and my sister-in-law and I, we went. And, I mean, the museum itself is like the front half of the Titanic and a fake iceberg. Like, you're driving and you see it and you're like, whoa. Like, it blew my mind. And so you walk in and they have like an iceberg taking up a good section of one wall and water's running down it. You can like touch it, put your hands all on it. Honestly, so cool. I didn't get a picture of it. I'm kind of sad that I did. But on the first floor of the museum, you cannot take pictures. And I want to say this is because I think they told us, but I think they have original photos from like 1912 and from like on the ship and stuff like that, and like those will degrade if like flash photography is used. So just no pictures, which was kind of a bummer, but then at the same time you're not focused on taking pictures. You're in the moment. You're there. So you go in and you get your boarding pass. Yes, I kept this stuff. You think I wouldn't? You get your boarding pass. And on your boarding pass, you get a person. So I was Laura Frankentelli. I don't know. So your boarding pass states that on April 10th, 1912 at noon, Titanic departs from Southampton, England, and at approximately 8:30 on the 10th, we're going to depart from Cherbourg, France, and then on April 11th, 1912 at 1:30 p.m. we're going to depart from Queensland, Ireland, and then after that, we are on our way to New York. So, on my trip through the museum, I was a first-class passenger at 31 years old, and I was a resident of London, England. I sometimes think my job is the best in the world because it takes me to so many exciting places. I'm Laura Frankentelli, personal secretary to Lucy Lady Duff Gordon, a famous dress designer and owner of high-fashion salons in London. So I was the personal secretary to Lady Duff Gordon, the woman that designed naughty lingerie, as Rose explained it in the movie. Fashion salons in London, Paris, and New York City. Women traveling first class know Madame Lucille's label and own at least one of her creations. She calls me Franks and I call her Madame. We're close but maintain a well-defined distance. Madame booked passage aboard Titanic under an assumed name. She wanted to throw newspaper reporters and photographers off her trail, but I imagine they'll still be waiting for her when we dock. Madame and her husband, Sir Cosmo Duff Gordon, have meetings in New York City, and I'll be taking notes. After the collision, I saw passengers rushing from their rooms in sleeping attire. An officer assured me everything was all right, but the three of us went topside anyway. Madame, Sir Cosmo, and I made it into a lifeboat? Or would Madame, Sir Cosmo, and I make it into a lifeboat? At the end of your walk through the museum, you find out if you live or die. Well, okay, that sounds really morbid. You find out if you made it on a lifeboat. Did Nellie leave? See, she hates when I talk sometimes. Or did she go up in the window? Sorry, sidebar, there's been a freaking squirrel outside the window teasing both of these two all day, and it's been hilarious. He's the cutest little squirrel, though. So at the end of the museum, you get to see if you made it into a lifeboat or not. So when we get to that point of, I make it because, obviously I made it, but remember in the movie when, like, Thomas Andrews runs up to, Lightaller? I believe that's who it was. I've seen this movie 100 times. Million times, probably. And he says these boats were tested with the weight of 70 men, and that he saw one go away with 12 people. I was on that boat of 12 people. So, my boat is the reason that so many more people had to die. And that made me really salty. I was very salty about that fact. So, you go through, then you get this, like, I don't even know, it looks like a walkie-talkie radio thing, but you can, like, scan in to, like, different things on the first floor, and then it'll give you more information on it. And so that's kind of the first floor. There's pictures you got to see, like, how big, I would say big, but they're really not all that big. You got to see, like, how big staterooms were for, like, third class. And honestly, my bathroom in my apartment is bigger. So you would look, and there's 2 bunks on each side. So, bunk. There's, like, maybe 4 feet of flooring between them, and then there's a sink, and that's it. That's how big, like, third class's rooms were. And, like, that's just so crazy to me. So, you go through here, and then you hit the grand staircase. And I could have fainted because you get to walk up the grand staircase, and like, the clock is there, they have the big dome, and it was just, like, I'm fangirling still. Like, it was an experience. Like, I cannot wait to go back. And it's great. So you walk up the grand staircase, and then when you get to the top, they have, at this point in time, it was set up for a first class stateroom, and this first class stateroom was set up for, oh shoot, what was their names? It was set up for Ida and her husband Isidore. Ida and Isidore Strauss. And so it was set up as, like, their stateroom. They had a portrait of them. And, like, the one thing that I was thinking of, like, when we see this, like, you walk up and there's the room, is how tiny the bed was. Like, were people like super short back in the day? Or, because these beds were like tiny. And it was just real crazy to me. So then, so you walk through, and then you come to like the music room, and it has like, there's a piano, and there's it's set up to like commemorate the musicians that did go down with the ship. And there's a guy, amazing dude, like played the piano, and he's telling you facts about the musicians as he's playing. And it was, I mean, I was mesmerized. And he had, I want to say it was either British or Irish, or it was kind of in between. I think he was Irish. So between the accent and just this playing, and it draws you in. And he kept like making weird eye contact with me, but I think it was because I was just so into it. So then you leave the music room, and I believe it's every few months they change out different things that they also highlight. So when we went, they were also highlighting like the Holocaust. So then there was like a Holocaust case. So it had like outfits that the Jewish people were wearing, and like what the SS people were wearing. And it was, I'll say this, the whole second, well, okay, all of it actually, like the whole thing, everything was so heavy. And I don't want to be like, oh, but I just draw energy. No, like it's just, you walk in and you felt it all. And as much as I loved it, I also kind of spent the rest of the day kind of like in a funk, because like I didn't want to leave, but it was very heavy. When you go from like, you're in the museum for a tragedy that took the life of over 1,500 people, and then it's also commemorating the Holocaust, which was another, what was that, in the millions? Like, that's a lot of death and tragic death, and that weighs on a person. But I mean, it would not stop me from going back, and it was the bomb. If that didn't just show my age. So you go through there, and then they have like the little captain wheel, spinny wheel thing, and it had the crank, like, you know, when they hit the iceberg right ahead, and he like runs over and stop, and and then it had like the panel for like all the bulkheads that were shut, and closed the watertight doors, and like a map of where they were traveling. Like, it was all so just, it made you feel like you were on the ship, but you aren't. And then like there's big like things of Captain Edward Smith, and then you walk out, and then the temperature just drops, and it's dark, and then they have like the fake stars, and it's made to look and feel like it was on that night. And they have like a chair suspended in the air, because people were like, they were throwing chairs and everything that they could think of overboard, so that for the people that weren't going to make it in lifeboats, they had some kind of something to maybe grab onto and float on, which it didn't keep them out of the water enough to like make them live. But you know, people's heads were in the right places. So like that was all, like after walking through, like there was there was a lot of people. It was hot, so I was like, I get out there and I'm like, oh, this feels great. But I'm like, I'm sure on that night it was not. So then you walk out of there, and then we went in, and then it had like a panel of like the side of the ship with the rivets and everything that you could go up and touch, and it's showing like a video of how it like when it hit the iceberg and how it scraped how it scraped along. But just feeling it, like it doesn't, like, yeah, it feels like it's sturdy, but it also feels not sturdy. So it was like, would I feel safe on this? And like knowing what I know now, no, I would not. And then there's things encased from like that were on the ship. So there's like a chunk of cork from a life belt. There's like shoes. There's things on the wall of like children from each class that perished. And then you move into another room, and then it has just the lists of first class, second class, third class, and crew of everyone that perished. And it's one thing to hear, like, oh, X amount of people perished in this tragedy. It's another thing to see all those names listed. It just makes it, like, it makes the magnitude of it just so much more. And it was just, again, it was heavy. And then you can go into another room, or you go into the next room, and then it has, like, pictures from when it was finally found. I believe it was in 85, but I'm going to look just to make sure. When was the... Yes, September 1st of 1985. And that was 73 years after it sank. Jeez Louise. So then it has, like, pictures, like, you know, that are in most documentaries. And then you go to the boards to see who was on what life boards and what numbers they were on and whatever. And that's when I found out that I was the one on the freaking boat of 12 or 14 people. And then I was all shook. And they also had, like, a wall of, like, remembering the Jewish people, that the Jewish passengers that perished. And I thought that was really, because isn't April that is like Passover and stuff, so maybe, like, I could see maybe that's why, like, they do that portion of it in April. But I was like, it was just, and to see the faces of some of these people, like, it just, like, it's unfathomable. Fathomable. It's just, it's so crazy. I wish I could put it into words. I really do. I would really recommend, if you're into Titanic, they have one in Branson, Missouri, and then, where's the other one? Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. So, I mean, if you're close to either, get tickets. Go. It's great. So much fun. And then, like, you get to the end, and they have, like, I believe it was 3, but the deck at different angles of different times of the sinking. I was not brave enough to attempt to stand on them and see if I would have lived. Nope. I would slide down and I'm gone. Megan did. Then they have, like, no, she didn't die. She's tried them out. Then they have, like, lifeboat. Look at, like, I don't know if it was a full lifeboat or half a lifeboat. And then they have, like, different little things of lifeboats. And then they have the, like, bowl type thing. And it has water in it. and it's the same temperature that the water was the night of the sinking. And then you can like start a timer and like put your hand in and see how long you last. And yo, just my fingers, like, yeah, I could hold my hand in there for a while. One, because I was freaking on fire. Like, by the end of the walkthrough, I was so warm. Because I left from South Dakota, and we just missed a blizzard when we left, to go down to Missouri, wherever I'm from, to go down to Missouri, and it's in the 50s, 60s. So I didn't pack for the weather change. I'm used to it still being chilly until like the middle of May. Sometimes. It's currently April 13th and it's like 84 degrees outside. So, not always. But when we went, it, like, again, we missed a blizzard when we left. So, I didn't have the right clothing for when we went. But I put my hand in there and, yeah, it's cold. Very cold. I could not imagine my whole body submerged. And then you go down, you get to go down the stairs to leave, and we went into the gift shop, and of course I got I got so much stuff. And then I got a book for sure, because obviously I need books. But everything, like all the like breakable stuff, they have Titanic tissue paper. And yes, I saved it. But everything came in like a Titanic bag. But I really, like, I got like the Heart of the Ocean necklace because I had to. I got a little bottle that has a little itty bitty tiny Titanic in it. I got a fan, a journal, a shot glass that's like tilted, another bottle that has sand and then like the Heart of the Ocean in it. And then I got some newspapers. So like this was from the St. Louis Dispatch. And I haven't taken them out of the plastic. And then the John Jacob Astor Lost on Titanic, 1,200 to 1,500 dead. I got a blanket that's hanging on the wall. I feel like I got so much stuff. I got a picture. It'll be put in. And it was, again, I would have spent all day there. It was one of the greatest days of my life. I can't wait to go back. Megan and I frequently discuss wanting to go back and being super excited to be able to take Squish. But we don't want to have to go while she's like can't walk, so we want her to be able to walk up the grand staircase and feel that magic. And I say that I'm just gonna assume she's gonna love Titanic also, because her first movie that she went to was Titanic in 3D. Megan and I went while she was pregnant in February of 2023. They had it at our theater in 3D, so we went, and that was an experience. All it needed was like mist to like come down on you, and because I feel like they like chilled the place down. Like it was a whole experience, but it was an experience that I would do again. And even though she was just an itty bitty gummy bear in her mama's belly, she was still there. She still went. She still had the popcorn. So I just wanted to share my Titanic Museum story with you guys and share my pictures, and just it was honestly one of the best times of my life. and I can't wait to go back. So yeah, that's all for this video. If you liked it, leave a like and subscribe, or like comment. As always, tell your mom I says hi, and peace out, Girl Scouts.